Please don't air any of this, Brad.
All right, we ready? You hitting it? Tell me when we're rolling. No, we've been rolling. God damn.
We're Googling over here.
All right.
To nerd sports now, people.
Exactly.
Look out. Do you fear death?
Oh, one of the greatest lines of all time.
I've got a job to it. I've got a job to it.
Kind of like whistles at her, so Dad looks over and the guy's going. And Dad's like, I got the fuck out of there. I was like, oh man, you didn't partake? I thought that was part of the mountain biking community, that y'all just went out there and had sex together in your tight shorts. But
Literally making me 30 sides of red sauce. He just takes it back up.
So that's what I was doing wrong the first time.
that's what you were doing wrong.
Big Pharma's turning the frogs gay, and it's coming after your kids.
And they're going to make them incredibly happy.
Infowars.com.
Listened to so much. Are you...
And the Democrats, they're in our government. I mean, this thing didn't just start lately. It started. There was this individual that was named Saul Alinsky, and two disciples of him was Bill and Hillary Clinton back in when they were going to college, University of Arkansas.
yeah.
And he taught that to get what you want, to get into power, you got to get inside the government. You can't do anything outside the government. You got to get elected. Is
Right.
what he said.
You think that's where it started getting sideways?
Absolutely. In my memory, you know.
You don't think it was already going on to an extent? I mean, Dwight Eisenhower warned about a war machine, and you know, there's been powers that be before.
Well, that
them.
wasn't too much. Before Zelensky,
Yeah, no, it's true.
because he was president in the late '50s, and he
Who was Saul Alinsky? I've heard the name, but I haven't done a lot of research into him.
he was socialist.
Was he a professor? Or
Yes, absolutely, professor. He
Yeah.
was a teacher to
the Clintons?
the Clintons, and they just bought right into it.
Yeah.
And he said, get in the government. You can change America from within.
Yeah.
You're not going to burn buildings and stuff like that and get anywhere. But if you're elected, you can cause a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's been going on. And
Oh, I gotta get my hat. We gotta match up here.
when old Obama said, we're going to fundamentally change America, he wasn't kidding.
Well, they tell you what they're doing.
Yeah. And
I don't have that one over here. This is the one I got. I'll wear this.
if you look at what this Kamala Harris, she's never done anything. She's always, I mean, she ruined San Francisco when she was a prosecuting attorney out there. She put thousands of people in jail for smoking marijuana, and she done the same thing. She admitted to it after putting all them people in jail out there. She admitted that, yeah, I've smoked marijuana. So that's the kind of woman you're looking at there. And she, not only that, she's a home wrecker. She destroyed some councilman, or I think it was in the city government somewhere. By messing around with him, and caused the breakup and everything. That was well known out there, and she's never done anything. No accomplishment. She became a senator, and then she tried to run for president.
Probably the most embarrassing candidate they had that year, other than Biden. I thought those were the two worst ones.
But
They were all terrible.
She didn't even carry her own state.
What do you think about Tulsi Gabbard?
Am I right saying she's a Democrat?
Well, she was. I think she's left the party now, but
Well,
she's definitely got
that's
some.
a smart thing.
Yeah.
She's not dumb then.
Yeah.
She's seen the light, if you know what I'm talking about. But
But do you think anybody can fix it at this point?
anybody can change it.
Yeah. You think Trump can actually solve? Because I think this is
All he has to do is what he did.
Yeah.
And
Well, he didn't get rid of the people who are doing this to him now.
well, that's one thing that I think he fell short of.
Sure.
He could have fired Christopher Wray.
Well, he hired Christopher Wray.
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
Did you watch any of
he's got to do something. He's got to clean up the DOJ. He's got to get rid of Christopher Wray, and
That's one smug son of a bitch, ain't he?
who?
Christopher Wray.
Smart?
Smug.
Smug. Yeah.
You watch any of his testimony
But-
to Congress last
Yeah,
week?
I did, and he's in the fold. He's political. He's political, and I'm just gonna come right out and say it. We don't know what I think that I would swear that the Democrats tried to have him killed.
You think it was the Democrats?
The Democrats tried. They talk about, well, it could have been Iran. They don't like him, of course. But it is so obvious to me that the Secret Service leaving that roof open like that, that is so egregious to me.
It doesn't matter
that
who was
somebody in the Democrats. Somebody, it was a made up deal.
Well, certainly I don't. Regardless of who was ultimately behind it, the Secret Service allowed that to happen.
Yeah,
They allowed the shooter up there. I don't believe it's the Democrat. I don't believe in the right and left paradigm. I think there's a power greater than both parties that is deeply rooted in the government, who does not want to lose power, and they will stop at nothing. I think it's a greater force than any political party.
Well, I don't know who would be pulling the strings.
Who benefits the most to get into these wars?
Oh, are you talking about big rich like George Soros?
Not even necessarily him, but I mean, who invests in? You look at the war machine, right? The industrial military complex. They want these wars to happen. They need them to happen, and I think those people are invested in by BlackRock and Vanguard and all these big money companies.
Yeah.
You know, I think it goes so high. It's like this: if you're a big money person and you want to control a political candidate, you fund both sides. You fund a Republican, you fund a Democrat, and it doesn't matter who wins because you still control them. So once the people get elected, they use us to get into office, and then once they get into office, then they're owned by whatever lobbyist or controlling interest bought them in the first place. And I think that's a terrible, terrible situation, and it's almost the illusion of democracy.
Well, I think the Democratic Party is they got to have that power, and I'm sure there's like you're talking about the military-industrial complex and all that, and but like you said, they contribute to both parties.
Sure.
I think the America First agenda of Donald Trump don't fit. It don't fit the Democrats and it don't fit the what you were talking
Right.
about.
Well, he said he had no new wars under his first term, and that to me is as good a selling point as anything.
Do what now?
No new wars under Trump.
Right.
Where you had, I saw a deal the other day. It had a picture of Jimmy Carter, George H.W., Clinton, George W., and Obama. It said 15 wars, 0 assassination attempts. And then there's Trump, 0 wars, 1 assassination attempt.
Yeah.
You know, if these people
you.
want war, they are going to get their war.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think, I think there's good people in the Democratic Party. I've got a lot of good friends who are Democrats, who are reasonable, rational people.
Well, I'm just opposite of you. I think the Democrat voter is as much to blame for the shape of this country because they keep voting for them people. Look at, I mean, did you watch any of the Olympics?
No,
No. The opening ceremony.
I've seen clips from it.
Did you see over there in France? They trotted out all those drag queens.
Yeah.
Who did a parody of the Last Supper.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. I don't understand it.
I mean, I don't get it either.
What's the point?
Right.
They're just trying to poke at religion, and I don't understand that.
No,
I didn't see the whole thing. I've seen clips from it.
And those freaks, I call them freaks. They proliferate under democratic regimes, as Salcedo on Newsmax should have called them. The democratic regime, and that's like talking about the like Russia or China, their regimes. That's what I think of the Democrats. And they're going to do whatever who voted for Kamala Harris? Who voted for her? Nobody.
It's basically.
So how in the world they call Trump a danger to democracy?
Yeah, but they've always been doing exactly what they accuse the right of doing.
They have never done anything like put somebody running for president. They've never anointed. That's what she is.
Yeah.
They said that Joe Biden was just fine when he wasn't. They lied about that.
What surprised me about that was, I'm sure you watched the debate, there were a lot of people that were surprised by how decrepit Joe Biden was. And I was like, how could you be surprised? He's been doing this for 4 years.
Because
they're only getting
of the Democrats, voters, they buy that. They buy that stuff. Oh, he's just fine. He's just fine. You knew he wasn't.
But if you look at root cause, it's because of what kind of media people are listening to. If you're listening to only left-wing media, they're going to omit anything negative about their own party.
The left-wing media is just, they're just shills for the Democrats.
I think all big box media is.
Yeah.
I think Fox is controlled by Pfizer. There is no reason. Firing Tucker Carlson's a great example. Tucker was the only reason I ever watched that show because he asked questions.
I watch, but I do watch Fox and Friends in the morning. Now them people, they're just as conservative as they can be, as far as I can see. But now the people who own Fox may not be. But
yeah, I'm sure.
But anyway, I like Newsmax, and I watch it. But I don't know. I don't trust Democrats. I don't trust them. I don't. I mean, if their lips are moving, they're lying. And whenever it was, when they seen that they was not going to be able to beat Trump with Joe Biden, they got rid of him. They got rid of him to rip up the Constitution. She didn't get a vote. 14 million people voted for Joe Biden.
Right.
And the Democrats and the ones in Washington just decided. They decided. Where's the Constitution
No, that's unconstitutional.
at?
There should be an open primary
Yes,
to
where
replace Joe
is-
Biden. 100%. I agree
Right.
with that.
And they called Donald Trump a danger to democracy.
Right, but that's propaganda.
Well,
And for people who are paying attention,
Who's
you and I
a
know
danger
that.
to democracy when they anoint somebody? Oh yeah, well we'll just and I heard the other day that, hey, you know what? If she starts dropping behind in the polls and everything, they get rid of her and get somebody else.
Sure.
They all know this is just a trial period. You know, the Constitution. What does the Constitution say?
Right.
Who? According to the Constitution, I don't know. But when something like this happens,
There should be an open primary situation right now. But what they want to do is just install her. And what I think they're going to do is have Joe Biden step down as president. I think she will become the first female
Lord
president just to make it happen. And then if they do a primary, they're going up against an incumbent president. She also has access to his campaign money because she was on that ticket. The Obamas have obviously endorsed her. But see, I know it's easy to point at Democrats, but I think a lot of the voters are just being misled and lied to.
I don't understand because they can't lie to me. I know better.
Then
Then how? Why are they so susceptible to? They're sheep. Why are they so susceptible?
But they're sheep
to
on the
being
right,
lied
too.
to?
I
I
think
know when I'm being lied to. I know when somebody is lying to me. The Democrats know. The politicians, they know. They know they're lying.
certainly the politicians do, yes.
They know that you know they're lying, but they don't care. Because the truth is what they say it is.
Right.
That's the truth. And if they want to change it tomorrow, just like border czar. Oh, she never was border czar.
Right.
Never.
Right.
Never was. Her own, and then the Newsmax will show her saying so.
Right.
But that don't mean nothing. The truth is what I say it is.
Right. But that's a problem of propaganda and people not asking questions and listening to both sides.
Well,
and then when you want to
hey,
get into sheep,
there's no way. There's, did you see the RNC?
Mhm.
Okay, then you seen that idiot news person from MSNBC start asking Don Jr.
yeah, I saw that
questions,
clip.
and he
yeah.
called him a clown.
Yeah. Guy was a clown.
Yes, he was a clown, and he was lying, and he knew he was lying. And he knew Don Jr. knew he was lying. Those are the kind of people. The truth is what they say it is, and a Democrat voter that eats that up, he's part of the problem.
But we've polarized so much, and both sides do this. I think Fox News omits a lot of stuff. I mean, I rarely ever hear any kind of criticism of Trump or anybody in the right. And if you ask me, the Democrats have been allowed to get into this kind of power because the Republicans haven't been worth a shit fighting them back.
Hey, you know what?
They've let a lot of this
I
happen.
can't argue some of that because, yes, for example, the Speaker of the House, what's his name?
The new one,
Yeah,
Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson. He told some reporter for Newsmax, or one of those shows anyway, he said that they would have the Constitution says you got to get a budget, right, for
Yes,
a year.
Right.
Well, they ain't done that in years. Well, Johnson said we'll not go on summer recess until we have we vote and have a continuing budget.
Right.
We won't get in danger of letting it go unfunded like
Right.
they have before. He lied
Yeah.
because they're going on recess next week.
Yeah.
Hey, the Republican nomination for nominee for president, somebody just tried to kill him,
Yeah.
and you're going on vacation.
Do you think they try again?
Yes, I absolutely do, and I absolutely think that the Democrats know about it. The Secret Service. That's part of the what is that? It's they protect presidential families and all of that, and the president and the former president. You'd have to be an idiot not to cover the roof
Well,
of
sure.
that direct line of sight.
This is
to
the most
Trump.
obvious
It was
place.
on purpose.
100%,
I'll
I
always
agree.
feel it was on purpose, and I think there's high ups in the Democrat Party know about it,
Yeah.
and they tried to kill him, and they'll do it again. It
But
will
this-
be an act of God, a stroke of luck, whatever you want to call it, if they don't succeed.
Yeah.
I will be surprised if he is alive November the 5th.
I agree with you there. But I also think.
And I blame Democrats, Brad. I know you don't,
Well,
but I do.
try and look at it from a more of a stand back because they say the same thing about Republicans.
I don't believe
and they
in
believe it?
coincidences.
What is
I
a
believe
coincidence?
everything that was done on purpose.
Yes, that was done on
I used
purpose.
to be, well, like I spent 4 years in the Marines. Hey, I know a little bit about you take the high ground and you don't give the high ground up.
Yeah.
They gave that high ground up with 130 yards. Some people say 150. It don't
It
matter.
don't matter. It's a chip shot.
Yes.
You're
You
a
know
hunter.
what?
You
I
know
was
what kind of shot that
in,
is. That ain't nothing.
In the when I went to boot camp, at the rifle range, we all packed up and cattle cars, we call them, because that's what they were. They hauled us to Camp Pendleton
Yeah.
up the road, and we spent 2 weeks on the rifle range.
Mhm.
I shot standing up 100 yards. I shot sitting 200 yards, and we did what we call snapping in, and we were the sling, and man, you get that old arm over, and it was like tight as it could be, and then it hurt, and then if the range instructor or the drill instructor come by and he moved your arm, it better snap back
Yeah.
to where it's supposed to be. So, and prone, laying down with your sling and 300 and 500 yards. I knocked the pea out of the black everywhere I shot. I shot expert. Iron sights. Of course, I'm 19 years old.
Sure.
I don't need
Well,
no
this kid was
scope.
20.
But this guy here had a scope
Yep.
and everything. I'd ride. And 130, 150 yards,
Nothing shot.
man, Trump's head must have looked like a big balloon down there.
It would have.
And he couldn't hit him?
Well, I think if you've seen, that was supposed to be a temple shot, and when he turns his head to look at that
Yes,
chart,
I know.
they just missed him.
I know all about that, but still, how many times did he shoot?
But I think they're claiming 8, but I don't.
Yes, and most of them was before Trump got hit. Who was he shooting at?
I don't know. There's also talk of
He was a piss poor shot. That's what he was.
could be.
Because when I was 19 years old, I wouldn't even want his scope. I'd have,
Oh yeah. No, there's little kids can make that shot.
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
that's
And
with
they
the
left
scope.
left it open.
I agree with you, but I don't think the Democrats were behind that.
I do.
I don't necessarily think that.
I
just don't.
I think they're as culpable as they can be, and I think maybe they didn't say okay it, but maybe I bet you don't. Those Secret Service agents that were all around him,
Yeah.
they knew, they had to know that was open over there. That woman that was supposedly the DEI woman,
Yeah.
appointee, just like Harris, she said the roof was sloped. My butt roof was sloped.
Well, the guy was killed by another sniper on the same sloped roof, like the same
Yeah,
pitch.
but that ain't.
It was bullshit.
Man, you can run a race on that slope.
But if you're given two options, and you can either tell the truth, which is we let it happen, or you make an excuse, as dumb as it sounds, they're going to make the excuse every time. They will never admit that they gave the shot up.
They're gonna have an excuse. They left that on purpose.
I think Democrats.
You don't make a mistake like that. You don't make a mistake, even if you're a DEI appointee that's wondering where she's going to get her next alphabet pervert from.
Right.
And that's what I call them.
But even the Democratic Party has
some good people.
What we see on the news, on Newsmax and on Fox, is the most extreme versions of those people. And you know what they see? They see the most extreme versions of the right. Right?
Sheep.
Sure.
I know.
But I think both parties are pawns to a much deeper, sinister game. I think it's much more serious.
I don't give the Republicans a total pass, but they sure are the better of two evils, that's for sure.
As of right now, I agree. There's no question in my mind.
Did you see what? Who were those people that carried on when Netanyahu was giving his address to the Congress? Who were those people out there? Were they Americans?
I don't know.
And if they weren't Americans, how in the hell did they get in the country to do something like that? Well, I know how they got in the country, don't I? The border. Okay, and hey, the government, both parties are complicit, and they ought to all be put in jail, to tell you the truth, but you'd have to go all the way back, how far, to get everybody that's, there's enough blame to go around not fixing that border.
Sure.
But Trump was well on his way. And do you think that COVID was a made-up deal too? I mean, COVID. I mean, I'm sure people died of it. I know it was.
When you say it was made up, what do you mean?
America helped fund.
Yes.
That lab over there.
Right, and that's what I'm talking about. Would you blame that on the Democrats, or would you blame that on deep-seated power?
Hey, that thing was. I can't say Democrats had any. That was.
But
they did
the
that.
People who did that
Trump
are the people who are trying to do all of this, and I don't think it's a right or left thing. I think funding gain-of-function research in another country, which is illegal,
tax money, and we funded that.
Yes, we did.
Taxpayer money. Fauci.
But it was obvious something. Here's where I want to get into talking about sheep for a second, because I think Democrats and Republicans are both victims of the same elite, deep-seated power. And I think they want us fighting and blaming the other sides, when in reality what we're seeing is the most extreme what you saw on the Olympic opening ceremony. That's the most extreme, right? And there's a kid at that table too. There's a child there, from what I can tell. Those are the most extreme versions. I think most Americans are probably somewhere in the middle. Rational, reasonable, good people. The Democrats I know personally are not okay with a lot of what's going on, you know. But if you can keep everybody fighting
for Democrats
and not talking,
because their daddy did,
in a lot of cases, but so do Republicans.
Their great grandpa did.
Sure, but I think both sides do that.
Hey, you know what? My dad was a Southern Democrat, and he voted that way all the way through. He even voted for Carter. Of course, he didn't know.
That didn't age well.
He didn't know how sorry he was.
Well, but that's the thing. You're not.
And he voted for Reagan twice, and then he didn't vote anymore because he got too old.
Right. But I think that's the illusion of democracy. It doesn't matter who you vote for.
I will agree that Southern Democrats, back in the day, there's nothing wrong with those people.
Great
They had
people.
morals. They weren't, there's way too.
Those people still exist, though.
But look, where is a good name me a good Democrat in the House or the Senate right now that you could vote for.
I couldn't name you a good politician on either side. The only one I could name you would be Thomas Massey, and he's a Republican, but he's out of Kentucky. But
Hey,
I think there
ain't nothing wrong with Trump.
Well, but I don't think Trump is
ain't
a
a
politician.
politician.
That's
That's
why
right.
I like Trump, is because he is shaking up their system.
He's not
But-
a politician, but America first. And
Sure.
since when is being for America a bad thing?
Oh, I don't know when that changed, but I have talked to people on the left who say that that will just sit here and list all the evils
being
of America.
patriotic and a good, and it's good to be patriotic and be for America ended when Obama got elected.
I think it was in his second term that it really started getting bad because he had to get
said
reelected.
we're going to fundamentally
Yeah.
change, and he set about to do it.
Yeah,
And Saul Zelensky, he taught getting the government,
right.
and boy did they.
Well, let's
Our
get
government is full of those.
right. It's infected on. It's
Well,
infected
yeah.
all across the board.
I'm not saying there's not enough. There's the Republicans. Tom Cotton. What do you think about him?
I've
Well,
got
I'm not going.
mixed.
You know what?
Well, here's my thing, Stephen.
he
There's
voted for that big, bloated.
yes, he did, and that's I got a problem.
And
with it.
he'd tell you, well, it's because it funded the military.
Yeah. But is there anyone? Let's exclude Trump from this conversation for a second. Is there any politician, even on the right, that you agree 100% with everything
No.
they say? Right?
I'm not a sheep.
You're never going to. But let's get back to what you're talking about, the sheep thing with COVID. Okay, people weren't asking questions, and I've gotten some answers as to this. I had a lady on not too long who said, I wanted to just do what I was told. I was scared, and I just wanted to do whatever I could do to stay safe and to get through this. Okay? But they made us afraid, so we wouldn't ask questions. But if you looked at the data from day one, it was the common cold.
You say they made us afraid.
They had a damn death ticker
Well,
going on for months.
It started with Trump in office.
Right. Now, I think the timing of that's very convenient.
And Trump, he's the one that, was he the one? I mean,
He was the one.
Fauci was his man, wasn't it?
No, Fauci had been in that position for a long time.
Okay.
Trump handed the
Okay.
presidency over to him for the last year, which I have a huge problem with.
Well, I got the vaccine, every one they gave. And I don't reckon it hurt me. I don't know if it helped me. Some people won't even take a flu shot.
Yeah.
But I take one every year, and I ain't had the flu since 1978.
See, and I haven't had a flu shot ever in my life, and I can't remember having the flu. You
Hey,
know,
yeah.
I mean, I
but,
guess I've probably had it. I've had, some,
I didn't blame Trump for COVID. I blamed the Chinese, and I blamed. They hated him. You know they did.
but it wasn't
because
just the Chinese.
Huh?
It wasn't just the Chinese.
Well, I know
it was
that.
us too.
I blame Fauci too. I blame the
Sure.
what you call it a while ago. I can't never remember what
Gain
of function.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that means.
Yeah. Well, that's when
And-
you take an existing virus and you make it more transmissible. You make it more. You either make it more
Why
deadly
did
or
they
more
do that?
bioweapon.
Why were they doing that over there?
For bioweaponry.
Oh, and why was America involved in it? How about Trump didn't know nothing about
No,
that?
no, he didn't know anything about it. But my question is, was it a leak or did they let it out because it was an election year?
I think
The motive is there.
that I think it was done on purpose to get back at Trump because he had him on the run, man, and he'll do it the same way if he gets elected. Tell me how a person like Kamala, she don't like to be called that. I call her worse than that. Why? I mean, how? Who in their right mind? Now that's just the way I feel about it. Votes for that kind of person. Who? What? Hey, you know what? You know yourself that women will vote for her, especially suburban women, city women. And
That is their primary
if I
demographic.
don't forget my train of thought, I'll say another thing after this. But, and you know why they'll vote for her? Abortion. Hey, I'm going to vote for the Democrats because they'll let me kill babies. What kind of people are those? Those, and you know what? Some of those women will claim to be religious. No way you're a religious person in my mind. That's just my opinion.
Right.
If you will want carte blanche to kill a baby you don't want
Right.
at any time that you decide you don't want it, up until, I don't know, how old do they have to be? Can they go get it a week after it's born and kill it? Some women would like that.
Well, I think we're seeing the most extreme versions in that case. I've talked to a lot of very
I am
leftist
not
people.
against abortion in every instance. I am not.
Right.
I do not think that a girl, incest, should have to carry a baby. No.
Sure.
Absolutely not. Rape? No.
Sure.
No.
But those are extreme examples as well.
Well, I don't.
How many
I would
percentages
say,
of pregnancies are because of
but
those?
you can't wait 6 months.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
well, 6 months ago I got raped.
But if you could agree to a time, let's say at some point between the first and third trimester, not line that out, right, and come to a solution versus the right wants to
Ain't
outright
nobody
ban it,
gonna ever
no matter what.
be happy.
The left, a lot of people on the left.
Some women on the left, and Harris is one of them. She won't. Hey, it's my body. I'll do what I want when I want.
Sure.
And the government ain't got no.
But I felt that way about the vaccine.
Yeah. Well, hey,
By
I
God,
didn't think
you're not
I
going
didn't
to
think a
fucking
person-
tell me I've got to take a thing
I
that's
know.
not been tested,
Hey.
that's not even a vaccine. You've changed the definition of vaccine to
Right.
label gene
I
therapy.
think it should be up to the person. If you don't want to take it,
Right.
that's fine. That's
Right.
fine. I never said, I don't like what Joe Biden did
Right.
by firing people and this and that and the
Sure.
other. I've got a sister-in-law that works for the government from her house in
Right.
Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. She was an hour away from Butler when
Right.
they shot. Hey, let me tell you, if you had her on this podcast, you'd have to make sure you had a soundproof room because she don't. If she needed to be a sailor, you know what I'm saying?
Who are you talking about?
My sister-in-law.
you're-
Her name's June. You talk about a Trump person.
yeah.
That woman is a Trump. She's a Trumpster.
But let me ask you this.
Uh,
How many liberal women have you sat down and talked to about abortion?
You know what? I've got a liberal daughter-in-law, and I can't stand her. Did I tell you something? I don't want to talk to her because she don't have much credibility with me. Because she used to go, I say used to, she may still, I don't know. She go to church every Sunday and everything, and then she's, when it comes to something like that, I don't, hey, she was messing up somewhere because that don't, to me, killing a baby don't suit God. Anything I've ever heard. My daddy was a Baptist preacher, and I heard him from the pulpit for years when I was a kid.
Right.
Hey, you don't hurt a child. The Bible says something to the effect you'd rather have it'd be better for you to have a something. I can't remember the name of what they called it, but it was like a weight
Right.
put around your neck and thrown in the sea rather than hurt a child. Now, how do you justify
But
that?
if you're going to use the Bible as an argument, God also told Abram to go throw his son off the top of a mountain, and then told him he was just kidding, just to test him as if he was worshiping him. So if you believe in all that stuff, you know,
I just, hey, I know what a hypocrite is. Yeah, you don't kill babies and stand in good with God. You just don't.
Well, and the liberal women I have spoken to are
And
definitely
like I said, I don't.
are definitely against late-term abortions.
You know,
The ones I have spoken to,
well,
I think
the Supreme Court sent it back to the state,
which is what I think should have happened.
I don't have a problem with it.
Because if you're looking at it from a constitutional standpoint, you're taking that power away from the federal government and giving it back to the states. That's always a good thing, in my opinion.
Kind of like states' rights, yeah.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
I don't have no problem with that. But you think the Democrats tell the truth about that?
I don't
Hey,
think.
if a woman wants to have an abortion, I ain't for it, but that's her business. But
I
go
agree.
to somewhere where it's legal.
Sure.
Don't try to change Arkansas. That's like coming from California. Because you don't like homeless shelters. I mean, homeless people out there. You don't like taxes, or you don't like this, or you don't like that, and you come over here and you start voting.
Well, I do have a problem with these California people are so.
Don't come here
Not
and make
all of
us
them.
California. You left there because
I don't
of
like
that.
to generalize, but in my experience, the California people I've met that have moved out here are entitled, arrogant pieces of shit that want to tell everybody else how to live their life
Yeah,
and
and-
try and turn it into a mini California.
Exactly. Whenever I was working, people to come back down here because where they come from up north or whatever, couldn't get a job, you know. So they come down here and they go to work, a lot of work, you know. And the next thing you know, well, that ain't the way we used to do it
Yeah.
you know, up north, you know, where I'm from. Well, what'd you leave there for if it's
Yeah.
so good? You run that place in the ground. Now you
No,
come down
I do
here
agree with
wanting
you.
to do the same
I do
thing.
agree with you on the fact that Democratic voters tend to continue to vote Democrat even after seeing the price.
And I don't.
San Francisco's
I'll
a great
never
example of
understand
that. Yeah, I don't
I'll
understand
never
that either.
understand that.
I don't understand it either. But
Yeah,
I
no.
think in general, most
You-
people are more centrist than they are
Yeah.
extreme right or left.
Why would people want 70 and 80% tax rate?
Right.
Well, she said that. She said that's what she wants.
Yeah.
What else? What else is she? Oh yeah, we've got to shut down the oil. We got to shut down fracking. We got to do all of that. She's liable to get in there and sign something that says everybody will be riding an electric car within 5 years or walking.
Well, I think a couple things. I do think we need to get off fossil fuels. I think it's an outdated form of energy, and I think we
But I
definitely
don't think
have.
it should be overnight.
Well, it shouldn't be overnight, but electric's not the answer either. If you
Well,
want to
no,
talk about
because where are you going to get the energy to fund that or the batteries and stuff?
well, they're getting it from
Yeah.
slave labor at the Congo is where it's coming from. But these companies who are buying the cobalt that they're mining out there are buying it from third parties, so they're not to blame. But the cobalt's mined by these warlords in the Congo.
Cobalt, that goes in, you're talking about making them batteries.
Yes.
Chinese will make a killing on them batteries because that's where we get them from.
Yep. Absolutely.
And the thing is, those batteries has got to be continuously recharged. Where do they think that electricity's coming from?
Yeah. Well,
Because
you're right. It's not a
it's
viable
like,
solution.
what come first, the chicken or the egg?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what come first, the battery cars or electricity?
Right.
Well, you don't get the electricity just, I mean, it's got to be generated. Water, wind, coal.
Well, there's highly documented cases of scientists and inventors inventing cars that will run on water and that can drive from one side of the country to the other. And guess what happened to those guys?
Well,
Government took their patents and killed them.
Ain't that has to do with hydrogen?
Mm-hmm.
Hydrogen will blow the. I mean, that's
can.
kind of dangerous, ain't it?
Not the
To
way
run
they
a
were
car
doing it.
on hydrogen.
not the way they were doing it. And I don't claim to
Well, I
understand the
don't know.
science behind it, but
Gasoline's pretty explosive,
if
ain't
you
it?
could do it, if you could give people basically free energy using either nuclear or some kind of hydrogen, there's so many people in power that would lose power because of that.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
you're going to tank the gasoline industry overnight? Those people will kill anybody on the planet to stay in power. So I
I'm-
think greed on any side,
Yeah.
just humanity is part of the problem. Because
You can say say conspiracy on a lot of things.
well, the conspiracy theorists have been right about 10 out of 10 times over the last 5 years. So
You think all these years that they've been researching cancer and cure and everything, you think there's people making money off that?
I'm 100% confident we have a cure for
I
cancer.
wouldn't be surprised.
I
you
have
know,
no doubt of it myself.
I wouldn't be surprised, but
But it would tank. We have a it's a federal thing. It's I can't remember what it's called. It's basically the Invention Security Act, where the government looks at these patents, and if they decide it can hurt the economy or any danger to national
don't give
security, they will just eat that up and keep
see,
it.
that's funny you should mention that, because that's what that sister-in-law of mine does. She patent.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know how. I mean, I don't know if she can stop one or what. She just works from home, and it's in the patent
Yeah.
office or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but if I mean, there just ain't a whole lot of.
I think there's a lot of progress that is being halted because you're making so much money at things.
Well, this
Cancer
country's-
treatments, energy, whatever it is.
This country's.
I think we're hosed. I think the entire system is embedded with, call it deep state, unelected bureaucrats, whatever, that aren't even political beings, but they are in power and they don't want to leave power. And how do you get them out? You almost have to tear the whole thing down and start over.
All you can do is, pick a side. And
Well,
I'll
we're
vote-
forced to, yeah.
I'll vote for Trump.
100%.
Yeah, if I didn't vote for Trump, I wouldn't vote for nobody.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well, I'm with you
couldn't-
there. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
We might disagree on a few things, but I
I
definitely
will
think Donald
vote for
Trump is.
There ain't nothing wrong with America first.
Well, what I don't
Because I'm an
understand
American,
is, well, sure,
and
we're all
I don't
American.
have no problem with America first. Just like that snake, or don't tread on me. That's the way I feel. And you know what? I think if that woman gets elected,
I don't think there's any way in hell she gets elected in a free and fair election. I don't think it's
well,
possible.
she must be in the honeymoon phase, because suburban women said they'd vote for her.
I watched a panel of
Big
suburban
time.
women just last week where none of these women liked a thing about her.
I don't know. I just think it.
That is her highest polling demographic, and that is Trump's worst polling demographic. Is
If Trump
white
can win
suburban
this
women.
election, get that border under control, get rid of some folks that come over here that they shouldn't have,
Right.
and he'll do it, and get inflation under control, and that benefits everybody. That don't just benefit Republicans or conservatives.
Sure.
It also benefits, and you just don't understand why they want a Democrat when they know that inflation is just going to get worse.
But this goes back to root cause again. See, I don't feel like
Her
the
policies-
Democrats are the enemy. I feel like the media and the deep state are the enemy,
Hey.
and they are pointing.
I
They're making us.
Hey, I
point
give them all
at each
equal.
other. Sure.
equal.
Right.
But
why does
I
Alex
don't
Jones-
like mainstream media. Media. I don't like Democrats, and I don't like what was that third one you said?
Well, the deep state.
Deep state. Well, you know what? If it hadn't have been for Donald J. Trump winning the White House in 16, I didn't know nothing about no deep state. Never heard that.
That's part of why I like him, is he is exposing so much.
That's it.
He's exposed the media, he's exposed the deep state.
That's why that they hate him so much.
I know, it's very obvious.
He messes up their little sandbox, their little
100%.
play
Right.
house.
Because he can't
America
be controlled.
first.
You can't buy the guy
No,
off. He's already a billionaire.
Exactly.
So he won't play by your rules, and they hate that.
Yeah.
They want somebody like Biden that can be a puppet.
You could go back. If it hadn't have been for Obama, they wouldn't have elected Trump.
Right.
Because people
swings.
People were so unhappy
Yeah.
with everything when Obama got through 8 years with the country that it was ready. They were ready for a change.
Yeah.
And then when he would have. Do you think they cheated him out of it?
100%
yes,
I do.
Absolutely.
100% I do.
Democrats done that.
They
were funded. I know what you're talking about.
Well, I mean,
you got
all these
people out
mail-in
there
ballots
that,
was
that,
bullshit.
Benefit financially and all of that from having Democrats that they can run, they can control. Like I say, they can't control, and they'll try to kill him.
Well, I think there's a number of things going on in 2020. Let's just say there was no shenanigans with the ballots. There 100% was. We've got it on camera. It might not be enough to win a legal case, but let's just say there wasn't any. You had the federal government going to social media like Twitter and Facebook and saying the Hunter Biden laptop is Russian collusion hoax. We want you to ban everything about it. Yeah. That is election interference.
Yeah.
100% it is. And I think that more than anything, there's like some 15% of Biden voters said they wouldn't have voted for him had they known about the Hunter Biden laptop. And so the excuse is, I don't care what Hunter Biden...
When did that come out?
Bob Linsky talked about it. Well, no, the story came out during one of the debates. Was it Tony Bobulinski, was a former business partner. But here's the argument, because I want to know both sides, what both sides are saying about any given thing. And what the left is saying, well, I don't care about the Hunter Biden laptop. He's not the president. Well, that's not the bigger issue. The bigger issue is how Hunter was tied with Joe Biden in taking money from the Ukrainian, either the energy company, either Burisma or the Ukrainian government. Was Hunter a front man or a middleman for his father? Right? That's the bigger issue. I don't care if Hunter's smoking crack and banging hookers in his room. None of my business. But if his father is involved, using his power as the vice president of the United States to leverage deals. What's that?
Do you have a doubt? Do you think Joe Biden's just Mr. Clean?
Oh, no, I believe 100%. He said it on camera.
He's as crooked as a...
He always has been, and he's always been a liar.
And he ain't the only one. I know there's Republicans just crooked. What about old... I think Joe Biden and his bunch, it's a crime family. That's what it is.
Sure.
That's what how can people... They're not dumb people. How do you not see that and say, no, I can't vote for that man?
But again, I think this goes back to the media omits. More than lies, they omit. People who watch only the left news only hear left-wing talking points. So if you bring up an argument to them, they'll say, that's not true. I've never heard that. Well, you and I know it because we watch right-wing media. I watch both sides of it to know what both sides are saying because I want to know what the landscape is. Because to me, the biggest crime is lying or manipulating to people. And you asked earlier, how can people be so stupid as to believe some of this shit? It's because they're busy and they don't care.
I just don't understand it. I
was that way for a long time.
I don't understand why. I mean, the high inflation, high groceries, high gas, the influx of criminals across the border, all of that is because of Joe Biden and his policies.
Well, hold on. Let me ask.
They don't.
Do you think Joe Biden He's the one making decisions in the White House for 1 second.
He's if he ain't, he should have resigned. If he
You think he's going to step down once he gets into power? I don't think Joe Biden.
well, no, he didn't have sense enough. He got too old and his mind went. But
So who's running the government? Because it ain't him, and it hasn't been him. I don't think for a second he's been running the government for 4 years. He's not capable. I had a grandfather before he passed that was right around that condition.
right.
There's no way that man couldn't even go to a doctor's appointment by himself, let alone run a country. I think Joe was a puppet that was installed by the DNC.
To me, it's real simple. Democrats have families. I'm talking about voters. They have to pay the same price. I don't care who's running the show. Okay, I don't care. I don't care if Joe Biden is not. He can't clean himself after a visit to the John. I don't care. And I don't care if somebody else is making those decisions. The decisions stink. No matter who's making them.
Agreed.
Okay? So they didn't stink whenever Trump was in the White House. I got a receipt in my back pocket, and I'll keep it until Trump, at least until he gets reelected and the gas goes down, but it's like $1.20 a gallon. Just before Joe Biden took over, and I got the receipt. I ain't lying to you. It's in my pocket. It don't matter who's pulling the strings. $3 a gallon gasoline is still $3 a gallon gasoline.
I agree.
You go to the grocery store, and what you used to buy for $200 now costs you $300 or more.
Sure.
I mean, you see it. That's a fact.
Yeah, that's pretty
is
clear.
it? I don't know, but it started when Joe Biden got elected, or stole the election, whichever one you want to say. Now, it wasn't like that with Trump. So why? I mean, it's money out of their pocket.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're getting, and you see the border and all of them coming over here and causing problems, crime. You gotta know, you gotta agree with me that crime under the Democrats go crazy. Hey, go out to California, Brad. Go into a department store with a shopping cart, load up with $999
Yeah. No, I will agree with you 100%.
worth of goods, and they can't stop you.
Under Democratic policy,
Come back
crime
and
has
do the
been-
same thing next week.
But well, you keep
They
saying
see that. Why do they still vote Democrat? Why?
well, that's a product of sheep, like you were talking about earlier.
There's way too many
it's a couple
of them.
things. It's a couple things. It's also tribalism, and I see this on both sides. It's I've got to pick a tribe, and I'm going to agree with everything this party says or everything that party says. Where in reality, most people are in the middle. You know, I see a lot of valuable things from both sides on different things. Right now, there's only one side that makes any sense to me.
Okay,
But-
you just said something I want to ask you something about. You can see on both sides. Give me one good thing that Joe Biden's done since he's been in office, and then tell me one good thing that Kamala Harris has done since she's been running for president or been in politics.
Those are politicians, and neither of them has done anything good. I'm talking about Democratic people.
People. Well, see, that's where me and you will always disagree, because I don't give them a pass. I don't give them a pass if they're not smart enough to see the difference in what people have to spend just to get by, on credit card debt going up,
Sure.
gasoline just to have a job and get to it. If they can't see that, well, then they missed something, and they probably should just stay home on election day.
But see, I also try and understand where these people are coming from. Why do they vote this way? Why do they think this way?
Do
and
you talk to a lot of people that vote Democrat?
I'm trying
and can
to.
they tell you what good things have come from Biden? What good things
No,
Harris has done?
No, I hear one argument, and there's only one argument from that side. I hate Trump. That's why they hate Trump
See that
so
right
much,
there?
which is not a logical argument. And we can talk about
their
that.
credibility is done with me if they say, I hate Trump. Why? Have you ever met the man? I'd ask them, have you ever met the man?
I understand why certain people don't like him, though. I get it. To them,
Okay,
he's
enlighten me. I mean, I know what you're saying. I just don't like Trump. Why? I just don't like it. Well, that's bullshit.
because the
Give me
media
a
has
reason.
gone so hard against him, lying about him, that people just listen. If you, it's like
Go
the
back
Nazis.
to sheep. Somebody
Nazis
told
used
me
to-
on CNN that he's a bad guy.
Yes.
Well, then
Yeah,
that's
ultimately.
I don't
But if
give
you
him a
challenge him
pass
on
on
these
that.
things and you say,
I
okay.
can't give him a pass on that.
But it's like
You
somebody was
have
telling me about Trump saying to go drink fish cleaner.
do
And
what?
Somebody brought up he told people to go drink fish cleaner when he was talking about hydroxychloroquine, which is not what he said. But the media takes things out of context and they lie about it. So you want to talk about, here's
Well,
where we'll get into
Then
a
think
whole
for
different
yourself is what I'm talking
different
about.
thing, is that people, and I always want to get to root cause. And I don't think it's just as easy as saying it's the Democrats. The Democrats are being fed by the media, and they're believing it.
Hey, I eat at the same table and I don't eat that crap.
Well, what media you're listening to? Newsmax is
Hey,
Newsmax
you
covering?
better believe it, and I have not looked at CNN except for what they show on Newsmax or
Sure.
Fox, and that's plenty for me.
No, I hear what you're saying. The
Hey,
left has
you know
become
what?
unhinged.
I just don't. I used to. I wouldn't say a thing about it. Somebody that voted Democrat. My daddy voted Democrat
Sure.
most of his life, but they weren't the same Democrats. Ronald Reagan was a Democrat.
Right.
And he said, they left me. I didn't leave them.
Yeah.
And, well, hell, people said that Donald Trump was a Democrat.
Well, I think he was.
Well, you know what?
I considered myself
When
to be a
you
Democrat
swaller
until
stuff for so long and you start gagging, you got to go somewhere else.
I agree.
And that's exactly, they run people off. But no, I ain't, hey,
But I don't.
I
think
don't
it's-
have. I tell you what, there's two things that you can't argue and keep friends. One of them's religion and one's politics. I lost a good friend because because of, I told him he was back, and Biden. I think Biden had the. Didn't he have the House and Senate at one time? Or
Yeah, I think so.
And I told this guy, he was always, he'd get mad because me and my other hunting buddy was Trump guys. Oh, I know you'd die for Trump, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I finally asked him one time, when are you Democrats going to quit blaming Trump
Right.
for Biden's mess ups? And we ain't spoke to each other since.
And
that's fine
But
with
it's
me.
like you said. Explain a policy that Joe or Kamala have done that's positive. That they can't, and they know they can't. So the only thing they can say is Donald Trump bad.
Anybody
when
that
most
votes
of the
for
things they'll
people
even-
that they can't say, hey, you know what?
Right.
I really like Joe because he's a real compassionate guy when it comes to unfortunate people coming across the border.
Right. So
But, I wouldn't agree with it, but I'd say, well, if that turns you on, why, hey, that beats nothing, I guess.
right.
But
You consider yourself a Christian man?
I believe in God, absolutely. So I'm not a churchgoer.
Are you a Christian? Do you believe in the teachings of Christ at least?
I do.
Okay.
I do, but there's some things that I have a problem with. But if it's in the Bible, you got to go with it.
I'm not a religious man myself, but I subscribe to the teachings
Well,
of
I
Jesus.
mean,
Okay,
like I said, I'm
the
not a
the red
churchgoer,
letters
but
and whatnot.
some things that I have trouble with,
Sure.
In
I do
that-
too.
that-
I got a lot of problems with the Bible, but
I
all
think
of
a
it.
guy, my dad's preacher, he always told me, he said, you don't have to step foot in the church your whole life to go to heaven.
no, I don't believe that you
That's
do.
between, you know.
I think it's a personal relationship, whatever you define it as. But what I want to see is Democrats and Republicans having more conversations and coming together, versus saying those evil Republicans are, trying to do this or that, or those Democrats. If you just sit down with a Democrat, as long as people can be respectful and listen, I think you find that you have more in common than you don't. And I've got friends who have TDS, and we just don't talk about it because there's so many ways they enrich my lives, and we don't even have to talk politics. Yeah. But you keep saying it's real simple. I don't think it's real simple. I think the powers that be, call them the deep state or the war machine or whatever, they want us divided. They need us divided, because if we ever unite as a people, that's the most dangerous, scary thing to these people, because they would be run out of power.
Okay. Getting along. Okay. Meeting people halfway. Reaching across the aisle.
I'm saying us, the people.
Well, yeah.
Just people
I
in general
understand.
getting together and
But-
learning from each other. I've found in my experience that the left, the people I know, Democrats, are not as far left as what I've been led to believe by the media. And I've had people
But they'll
tell me
still
they
vote
thought I
for the
was
Democrat.
not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Okay.
I think if there was a free and fair election, I think it is a record landslide in favor of Trump. If all things are free and fair, I don't know about all 50 states, but I think it's a landslide like we haven't seen since Reagan. But, and there are going to be people on the left who can't be respectful or civil. And there's people on the right like that too.
Well, I just keep going back to things that I really liked under Trump.
What you're talking about there is no argument. You're breaking it down to its simplest forms. Was life better under Trump or under Biden? That's easy, closed case. It was better under Trump for the first 3 years.
I'm not going to vote, or I'm not going to meet somebody halfway when it chokes me.
Sure.
I ain't going to do it.
I get that.
I'm trying to think of something Trump did I didn't like. Well, my nephew, he's just about as conservative as me, but he said when Trump was okay with banning a bump stock after that Vegas thing,
Yep.
he didn't like that.
No, I didn't like that either.
I don't like a bump stock. I don't even know what it was.
Yeah.
So him banning it didn't affect me at all. I don't have one. I'll never buy one.
Well, see, that's how I view
I'm
the
not
abortion
gonna-
argument.
huh?
That's how I view the abortion argument.
I'm sorry.
I said that's how I view the abortion argument.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a voting decision for me. I'm not going to be having one. My wife's not going to be having one.
Well,
So,
I told you, I don't.
if you want to do it now, I think at some
a
point.
woman, but see, conservatives and liberals. Okay, here's the way I look at it. They look at things different. Now, I like guns.
Sure,
I
me
got
too.
plenty of them.
Me too.
If CNN came in my house, they'd want me locked up. I mean, immediately.
Yeah.
Because I got them all over the house.
Yeah.
And,
You got a particularly special one that you inherited.
Huh?
You got a special one that you inherited, right?
Oh, God, right.
I wanted to talk about that today before we
Okay,
get too far
sure.
down this rabbit hole.
Because
Because you had an interesting life growing
a
up.
liberal that don't, he don't have a gun, and he don't want me to have one.
Right.
Well, see, I'm different. Hey, you don't want to have a gun? Hey, I wouldn't push one on you for nothing.
Sure.
But I like them. Don't.
Right.
Why do you want me, as a law-abiding citizen,
Right.
to give up my gun because you don't want me to have one?
Well, here's the thing with that. If you take them away from the law-abiding citizens, who's going to have them?
Nobody.
Criminals.
Well, yeah.
The criminals will get them anyway.
Because, well,
And
yeah,
now we
because
can't even
they don't
defend
care.
ourselves,
They're
so-
not going to worry about the law.
I'm not going to sit here and defend. If you want to take guns away, amend the Constitution. But as it stands right now, it's in place, and
That's another thing about old Kamala. She has come out and said we need forced gun confiscation.
right.
You want a war?
Well,
Come. Hey, I won't give mine up. I'll die,
let's talk about.
but I won't give them up. No, you ain't getting my guns. Hey, I want her to come to my house and say, I need your gun, Mr. Fisher. I'll give
That
you
ain't
the
going to
bit.
happen.
Yeah, I know that
But-
ain't gonna happen because she.
We're talking about white women, especially suburban white women or single suburban white women, being the biggest detractors from Donald Trump. Right. That's the main demographic.
That's yeah.
And from
that's what it
and
says.
in talking to a lot of them, what they want is they want somebody who's kind and nice and presidential. Well, all politicians are liars. All of them. Right? Trump's probably the most honest of them, and he lies about the dumbest shit. Just stuff that's just
Yeah, but
crazy.
You know what?
I was the best
hear him
you've ever
say some
seen.
stuff,
You know?
and I know that it's either
he's a
lying or
bullshitter.
but I don't care
But
because I like
is it lying, or is it he just kind of a bullshitter?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, my grandpa was a bullshitter. Was he lying? Kinda.
Yeah.
Or was he just telling a story? You know, Trump's got a big ego. He's a braggadocious man. But here's what I want them to consider. I get that Trump can be mean and he can say some nasty things, but at least I know what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Because these politicians who come out there on a podium and smile and look real slick, they're lying,
No, I
and
know.
that's not who they are behind closed doors. What
I
you're
like
seeing with Trump is
because
exactly.
he's not a politician.
So same here. But I think it's real easy to say, well, he said mean things and he called this person fat or that. What do you think the president's primary goal is? Is it to look friendly for Americans, or is it to be a representation of America on a world stage with nuclear weapons going off? If that motherfucker looks crazy and it deters a war because we don't know what Trump's going to do, I'm A-OK with that.
bet.
You talking about North Korea, China, Russia. These people are looking at Joe Biden and saying we can do whatever we want with America, whereas you don't fuck with Trump.
That's it.
I want to protect my kids. Who gives me the best chance to keep my kids from going to a war? Because I got one that just turned 14 today, and I sure as hell do not want him going overseas into some stupid war for something I don't give a shit about.
Especially under Joe Biden.
Well, whoever.
If it's a, if it's a danger, like, okay, see all these terrorists, I don't know how many got in here, but some did.
Well, even if it, okay, what number are we
If they
talking about?
come over
13
here-
million people
well,
coming over?
Whenever
10 million?
they flew those planes into the Trade Center and the Pentagon and everything, was that enough to get you to fight, go to war,
Well, it united us.
huh?
It united us into
Absolutely.
a war.
It scared us. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It scared us. Okay.
But that was the
And,
most united I've
okay,
seen this.
If I got
country.
grandkids, my boy's already too old. But if I got grandkids in the draft day, and they are, and they come over here and they killed a whole bunch of Americans like they did then, I'm not sure that I would tell them you need to sign up and go fight
Right.
because you need to keep them out of America. Under Joe Biden, I would say, hey, you know what? Since he left them 13 service people over there in Afghanistan get killed, I wouldn't trust him.
But again, you're looking at focus in on this demographic of liberal white women, and a lot of which have no kids.
Yeah.
Okay? That's a completely different perspective than somebody who has kids. Right? 'Cause that changes everything for me.
Yeah.
I do not want my kid going fighting for Ukraine. Hey, I'll say I don't give a shit about Ukraine. They're one of the most corrupt countries on the planet. They've suspended elections so that this bastion of democracy we're talking about over there in Ukraine, is nothing like that at all. We're sending billions of dollars over there. I don't care about Israel, frankly. I think they can fight their own wars.
Well, Trump says if he hadn't got Ricky Dude out of the election, they wouldn't be fighting over it.
I believe him.
I do too. I don't
He
think
kept the money out of
because they think
Iran's
Trump's
hands.
Crazy. I think Trump, when he says something, he means it.
But I don't think these wars that are going on are just by accident.
Well,
I think America's got its hands in a bunch of different pies.
Trump never got into a war.
That's what I'm saying. That's what. If you give me one argument about Trump's presidency, what was the best thing he did? He kept us out of wars.
Yeah.
No new wars under Trump.
Well, if you look back through history, most of the wars were fought during Democratic.
George Bush wasn't a Democrat.
Well, yeah, but he had a reason to do that. Whenever they come over here and run them planes into them buildings and stuff, you know what? Some had to be done about that because they had to be punished.
If that's the case,
I don't believe that. Well, he made a mistake because he listened to people that said there was weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, but when there wasn't.
When there was not.
Okay, I'll give
so we
you
can
that.
agree there weren't any weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree. I'll give you that, but a lot of that was because of what happened to the towers and everything. All them 3,000 people getting killed.
Yeah.
Innocent civilians.
Sure.
But it was the wrong country. I guess the one that was harboring old bin Laden was Afghanistan. Is that not right? But
well,
I mean, why
it gets pretty
to
convoluted about how it all goes down.
Because of weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
Well,
that was a lie, and he knew it was a lie. I believe. You might say he was listening to the wrong people.
Did you think that bin Laden was trained in Iraq? He was looking for him, right?
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 20 years ago. I can't remember all
They found him over in Afghanistan.
the timeline. But,
where do you think bin Laden was right after 9/11? Did he go to Iraq? Did he go to Afghanistan? Where was he?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, Bush went over there to finish what his daddy didn't finish.
I agree, but also there's video of Alex Jones in what month was it? July of that same year, saying that there's going to be an attack on the towers and they're going to blame Osama bin Laden for it. So I mean, I don't know. A lot of stuff comes out, and conspiracy theories to me were always kind of nuts until COVID happened, and then I saw it in real time. Yeah. With my own eyes. And you want to talk about sheep. I understand the sheep perspective because I've talked to some sheep and they've told me, I just want to be safe. I want to do what I need to do. And that's what you were told. If you don't get this vaccine, you're killing people. You're a murderer. Well, hold on. If you get the vaccine and it's safe and effective, that means you can't get it anymore, right? So then why do I need to take it? Because you're protected. It didn't make sense from the get-go. You can tell me I got to wear a mask in a store, but you're not going to take away credit card machines where you're typing in the numbers, so we're all typing on the same pads, putting our fingers in our mouth. None of it made any sense, and none of it was scientific. You're going to demonize ivermectin when it worked for Joe Rogan and then go up against him and paint his face green on CNN. I mean, it was all bullshit in real time. But you get back to how these sheep become sheep. They're busy. They got the grandkids' soccer game. Then they got this, they got that. They're just reading headlines. And if CNN's what their moms and dads listen to, that's what they're listening to. Is it lazy and unresponsible? Yes. But I get why people do it and don't do their research, because it's almost kind of sweet in a way that they're so naive because they trust the system. I don't trust the system. And I haven't for a long time, so I question everything. Yeah. And I dig into both sides. What do they say?
My sister-in-law, she didn't get no vaccine, and she thought she was going to get fired from her job because of the government.
A lot of people thought. My wife did get fired.
Yeah.
She lost her job over it. And
Well, did she get to go back to her job? I mean, didn't they rule against that? than people getting fired from their job.
I don't know what all the legal cases have been won about that. She found something else. You know, she
Well, I
ended up
think
being
a
okay.
person
But,
ought to have the right to choose. This is America,
but
ain't it?
here's what bothered me about the vaccine. And
I
I'll say-
chose to get them mainly because I'm age.
Sure, and I respect that.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem.
But
But
it's
you weren't telling me I was going to murder somebody for not getting it.
No.
You got it. I don't care if you got it. But my family and my income was being threatened if I didn't get this.
Yeah, I don't
And
believe
by
in
God,
that. I didn't believe in that because I don't think the government should tell you. I mean,
here was my problem with the vaccine. The biggest. I think we've become cowards, and worse than sheep. Sheep just don't want to get killed. They just want to go along and do whatever they got to do to get the easy way. I knew people who did not want the vaccine, who didn't want it, who weren't going to lose their job, but because their friends and family were pressuring them and saying the media talking points, oh, you're killing people and you're not being responsible. They got it for the social pressure. And to me, that's cowardice.
yeah.
And again, when you tell me I don't want to do it, I don't believe in it, I don't think I need it, and it might be dangerous, but, you know, what are my wife's friends going to say? What's my wife's family going to say? I would say,
Well,
who gives a fuck? Don't make the decision you think is right
Right.
and stand by it.
There was lots of people died from COVID. Is that not correct?
Yes, a lot of
In
people
my
died
memory,
from
I
COVID.
mean,
Yes,
Were these people?
I'm not denying that, Stephen.
Right. I'm just saying. It was
But
serious.
they weren't
it
young,
was,
healthy children.
Huh?
It wasn't young, healthy children dying.
Right. But
Elderly people,
yeah.
people with comorbidities, as they call them, obese people.
Yes.
Those are all health risks.
Right.
I mean,
Diabetes and all that.
so, you know,
Yeah, I understand. But
somebody
there was
like
a-
yourself, older,
Yeah.
you know, you got a little
Yeah.
pack of meat there on you.
Yeah.
You know, I get it made sense for you.
Yeah.
You know, for me,
Yeah,
I
well,
was like,
that's the reason. If I was young, and all.
I was
that.
in my 30s still.
Yeah,
You know, I was
right.
38, 37. You know, I'd never gotten those kinds of things before. I just didn't trust a lot of it. Was a new technology. It was an mRNA vaccine, which is gene therapy. It's not technically not a vaccine. You know, it inserts a spike protein into your body. I don't pretend to know all the science, but I was like, you know what? Because when you break it down, the common cold is a coronavirus. This was essentially a common cold. It did kill a lot of people, but so would have pneumonia or a common cold or a upper respiratory infection. And we didn't have death tickers for all those things.
Yeah.
You know, they instilled fear. They literally had a death ticker 24/7.
I never.
So yes, it did kill a lot of people. I'm not denying that.
I don't think that the government has a right to force.
Right.
Now, if as far as now, if you work for the government, okay, now, but what if you didn't work for the government? They couldn't. Did they try to force people?
Yes, they took it to the Supreme Court.
Just
They tried to force every American to get it. The Supreme Court ruled that.
well, how could they go into say Ford Motor Company or whatever work factory or whatever, and make them fire their own people?
A
Did
lot
they
of
do that?
A lot of companies did it anyway. A lot of companies required it.
Hey, if the government wants to fire their own workers
Yeah.
for not getting vaccinated, hey, you don't have a guarantee.
Yeah.
If you work for a company that says you will get a flu shot,
Yeah.
or you can't work for us,
Yeah.
well then you can't work for them.
Yeah.
But the government coming in and saying that my employer has to fire me, they did that.
Yeah.
Well, how could they? Get
Well,
away
the
with
Supreme
that?
Court ruled that you can't force just any. Well, it was any company that was over 100 employees, which is also an arbitrary number. Just 100. Well, if it's 101, you got to get it. If it, none of this made any sense.
I didn't know
But
that
yes.
the government could do that.
Well, they couldn't, and the Supreme Court denied that. Thankfully, I worked for a company that said we're going to wait for the Supreme Court ruling. I probably would have lost my job had the Supreme Court ruled in favor.
If
But
the
then
government agent come over to where I'm working and drag me out because I don't have a vaccine, but my employer says I don't give a shit whether you got one or not. How can they do that? I mean, if you're
well, they did it in the
working
medical
for
industry.
them-
That's why my wife lost her job because the Supreme Court ruled that
what
medical
job
employees.
did she have?
She's in the medical field,
Oh, okay.
so
medical.
they mandated that medical employees did have to get it.
Well,
the Supreme Court. Which still, I didn't agree with. Everybody was celebrating the win, but to me it was a huge loss because the Supreme Court said that you had to get it as a medical employee. And there were still exemptions you could get too. And there's another thing, you could get religious exemptions. You could get, there's medical exemptions too. There were ways of getting around it, but just that.
Just because you're, my religion don't let me get a shot. That don't. Well, then your religion's going to keep you from getting COVID, right?
Well, that ain't how that works.
I mean, you're going to guarantee us you ain't going to get COVID and give it to somebody else.
Well, I think it had to do with the fetal cells from aborted fetuses that are used in the
as far as
vaccines.
doctors and nurses and stuff like that, they're all around that stuff.
Yeah.
Don't you think they ought to be vaccinated if you're going to take your kid in and have to stay in the hospital? You want the nurse handling your kid and everything? I mean, well,
no,
you
I personally no. Not for if it was the
black
black plague.
Vaccine, I mean, really.
Knowing what we know now, that they did.
Well, they killed a lot of folks.
So the vaccines.
Well, they didn't. I don't reckon
it's wreaking havoc on young people's hearts.
Fat, I ought to sue them. That's that vaccine working, ain't it?
I don't know, but Steve,
I don't know. It might be them mashed taters I like so well. They ought to ban them things.
Right.
My employer ought to fire me for eating mashed potatoes. It's killing me.
I love freedom.
Hey, what do you got to say? That's about what I thought.
Man, it's funny. You can't ever get her to shut up, but once the microphones are on, she won't say a word.
Yeah, she said she wasn't going to say a word. I don't know.
You want to swap places?
I guarantee you wouldn't believe that her sister, her and June were sisters. You need to talk to June.
You set me
you
up
have
with
to
it.
beep her out.
I want to talk
every once
about that firearm you showed me last time. So I went up and visited y'all, August, September last year. Popped in, and you showed me that firearm.
My memory ain't what it used to be.
Tell me the story of that gun you've got.
That gun?
Yeah. I want to get this on record. It's the one you inherited.
I'm getting old.
You've got it in a case.
I know what
you know what I'm talking
about.
about. Quit trying to mess with me.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull your string there. They think, Fisher's getting senile. He's getting old.
You were senile 20 years ago. What are you talking about?
Huh?
I said you were senile 20 years ago. What are you talking about?
I know it. But anyway, that gun, that's a .32 caliber single shot. I don't even know who makes it. I mean, you know what? That gun goes all the way back. Let's see, when I was a kid, just before I went in the Marine Corps, we lived in an old 2-story house with a sheet iron roof and no paint.
And where was this?
Down under, when you go through Mulberry,
Yeah.
You ever been on 64 highway and go through Mulberry?
It's been a while, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, see, when I was growing up, that's the only road we had.
Yeah.
I was in high school when they made 40.
Okay.
They built 40.
Yep.
But anyway, you go through Mulberry and go across.
And you graduated what year?
68.
Okay, 68.
And when you cross Big Mulberry River, and then there was, before you got to, and then there's Little Mulberry, but anyway, it was kind of like this, the road 64 until you got, and then you dropped down a little hill there, and you could see a long way, just a straight shot. That was called Fisher Flats because there was so many fishers lived over here.
Okay.
And then when you got to this big hill, that was Fisher Hill. Well, if you went off on that dirt road down in there, there's 2 or 3 houses down in there, and one of them was my dad's aunt Nellie. That was his dad's sister. That was my great aunt.
Okay.
Nellie Groff. Anyway, she owned the house, and she rented it to Daddy.
Okay.
$15 a month, I remember.
Oh my goodness. That's wild.
Yeah, I know. It's
wild.
They had to have rent control. It's too high. But anyway, that's where I was living whenever I joined the Marines after I graduated high school. And there was 2 things up in that attic that we found. And one of them really interested me a lot, and the other one didn't. Well, a gun was in 3 pieces.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That didn't interest me. A big old box about that tall and about that square full of baseball cards
Okay.
did interest me.
Okay.
And I'll always regret that I didn't take them and put them in a safe place.
Yeah.
Before I went in the Marine Corps,
Oh
before I
my
left
goodness,
San
I
Diego,
bet. Yeah.
because no one, after when I come home on leave and everything, no one knew what happened to them baseball
Oh
cards.
dear.
And I'm talking,
There was your
we're
fortune
talking
right there.
68,
Yeah.
and we're talking baseball cards from the 50s,
Yeah.
60s, maybe even some from the 40s. But anyway, I never saw the box and never seen the cards. But what my daddy did was he took that 3 pieces of that 32 caliber rifle and a nephew. See, most of my daddy's folks, brothers and sisters, went to California back in the day, and because they could work and make money a lot more so than
Because there wasn't a
Arkansas.
lot of opportunity around here.
Right. So they left and went out there. Most of them did. Daddy did for a while, but then he started preaching, and he come back to Arkansas so he could preach,
Did you say he was a Baptist preacher?
Baptist,
Yeah.
just a regular Baptist preacher.
Yeah.
But anyway, what happened was the old boy restored that gun, that rifle, and then Daddy had to almost threaten him that he was going to come to Arkansas or he was going to come to California and put bumps on his head if he didn't send his rifle back.
There you go.
Anyway, he got it back, and he just going on, but he got it back. And when he got it back, it was in that case,
Yeah.
and you can't get in there unless you tear it up.
Really?
Yeah, you ain't got hinges or nothing.
No kidding.
It's in there.
So it's
That's
in there.
it.
Really?
I ain't never touched it.
Yeah.
Never shot it, but the guy that my cousin, the one that took it out there and fished it, said he shot it. It's functional,
Yeah.
and I can see where it's got a little knob on the right side, and you pull that up, and it stays, and you put a round in it, push it back, and cock the hammer. That's how it works. It's
Yeah.
a single shot.
Yeah.
My daddy said he seen his grandpa kill hogs with it. If you know anything about killing hogs, most of the time you shoot them between the eyes with a 22. You get right down there close, boom,
Yeah.
and then cut their throat,
Mm-hmm.
let them bleed, and then anyway, back in the day, people would raise their own hogs and kill them, scald them, get the hair off of them, and everything,
Sure.
and either smoke the meat or salt it,
Yeah.
sugar cure it. But anyway, that gun. Let's see, his grandpa, Daddy was born in 1910. And I don't know. His dad, if he was born in 10, his dad had to be, Grandpa Fisher had to be born
1890
in,
or something?
What would you say?
1890.
Yeah, anyway. And it was his daddy's daddy that he seen kill hogs with it. So that would have been, shoot.
You're
what,
getting back
the
into Civil War now, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's probably, so it would have been my great
Yeah,
grandpa, I guess.
that's a lot of history.
Yeah. And, but anyway, that's the name of that. And,
So when did you get into Northwest Arkansas?
huh?
When did you move into where you all are at now?
19, well, let's see, moved up here in 87. 87, because
Is that right? What year?
where we're at
Six.
now was
Yeah.
90. We bought that place
Okay.
in 1990.
Okay.
But we came up here and lived in an apartment while I worked in Rogers in 86. Yeah, 86. Yeah, okay. And then I went to work up in I worked in Rogers Tool Works in 87.
Did your oldest ones go to Rogers?
87.
No, where'd the oldest ones go?
Huh?
Where'd your oldest kids go to school? Fayetteville. Because I remember, because I met.
We was our kids. John was going in Fayetteville.
Because I met Jason in 3rd grade. Was that when y'all bought where you're at now? 90? That sounds.
Yeah, we moved over in Weddington Woods in 1990. And,
Golly, so y'all been there for. Shit, what is it?
this,
30.
Well, just right at this past May.
34
1st
years
of
in
June,
there.
something like that, was 34 years.
Yeah. It's a good stretch.
Been there 34 years. And
I gotta say that was a real trip for me walking in there last year because I hadn't been in there in 20-something years.
it's just no rundown place. And the thing that's valuable about it is people want it for the land, the 5
Yeah.
acres, because they'd divide that thing up into about 5 lots
What are you on 5?
and sell it for. I've had offers on it. People want to buy it for the land, $150,000 just for the land. They don't want. I said, you ain't gonna give $150,000 for this old mobile home. He said, well, that'll be gone. He said,
Yeah.
we just want the land. So we got people moving in here, buy acre of land for $50,000 or more,
Yeah.
and it just keeps going up. But that's 5. That's $250,000, ain't it? 5 times 5, it's 25. That's $250,000, and he's only wanting. I said, hell, you can give me 175. I don't know, but I only paid 38,000 for it.
Yeah.
But
That fly is tenacious.
I know,
He's
he
coming
was
back and
on
forth.
your
I know.
trump
He
cap.
keeps
I started
coming
to say,
back.
hey, get off that cap.
There's always this one fly that will just not give up. So what did y'all like about the Weddington Woods area back then when you moved out there?
We didn't have neighbors south of us.
Mm-hmm.
Them homeless, I call them homeless. What's wrong with the county? This is Washington County, ain't it?
Yeah.
Why did Washington County let that go on?
Let what go on?
Them homeless, I call them white trash. I don't know what you call them.
Well, I'm white trash.
No, you ain't.
I don't know what that makes them. You talking about down South Fayetteville?
You don't live in an old wore-out RV, and you don't have. You seen that place.
Yeah.
You're not. You wouldn't live like that.
Well, maybe not, but
I know you wouldn't live like that.
there's a lot of people choose to live like that, though, just because they don't want to be part of society. And a lot of them are on drugs, too.
They ain't your neighbors. You let them move in right next to you.
I've got them up on the hill over here.
Them people. I don't know where them people come from.
No.
That's a big story. But anyway, I blame the county. County shouldn't let them live like that in the first place.
Well, how bad? I don't know the story. So
Okay.
What is the story?
Well, the man I bought that 5 acres from, and that mobile home, and that barn, that garage.
So the mobile home was there when you bought it.
Huh?
The mobile home was there when you bought it.
Yeah,
the land.
everything.
Everything was there. Okay.
And I bought it, and that 3 acres from my property line to the T up there.
Yep.
I had an option to buy that within 5 years for $5,000.
Okay.
It wasn't 6 months after I moved in. 6 months later, the old boy that I bought it off of sold that 3 acres. An option to buy something ain't worth the paper it's written on.
Yeah, I know.
So I was not smart enough to say, no, I want that 3 acres.
Yeah.
I'll pay for it right now.
Okay.
I want that. I wasn't smart enough because I thought the man was honest, but he was a crook.
Right.
And he sold it, but not to them people, but he sold it to a woman and her part-time on again, off again husband, and mostly off again. And she was nice. It wasn't her fault.
Sure.
She was nice, and she moved a mobile home in there, and then she left that mobile home there and went up on the corner and put another one, a brand new one. Nice, had a nice yard, everything, no problem. I didn't have no problem with her.
Right.
She's nice, clean, kept everything mowed and all that. Well, the next thing you know, her husband left her for good, and they foreclosed on her. And they sold it to that man up on the corner. They split it up. It's a three acres,
Right.
acre and a half, and he made a junkyard up there with cars and stuff.
Yeah.
And then them people down there, okay, next to me,
And this would have been early 90s.
you know how many people's living there? They got one, maybe three of them RVs, them old junk RVs. And how many was down there? 6, 7, 8, counting kids. I bet they was counting kids and everything. There was probably 8 or 9 living down there.
Yeah.
And the one good thing about it is, Brad, is they don't bother me. They
That's
won't.
good.
I told them, don't come on my property. You try to be nice to them. When they first moved in down there, they moved in that old mobile home.
Okay.
And then they just, from then on, it was just junk.
Yeah.
And then it burnt down. And they got them RVs down
Why do you
there.
think it burned down?
Huh?
They cooking meth in it? Why did it burn down? How did it burn down?
Electricity, I think.
Oh, they weren't cooking meth or
somebody
anything?
said that that old boy was doing some of his own electrical work down there under the house, and that's where the fire started.
Well, we had one cooking meth over here a while back
Yeah,
that
well,
burned
it's
theirs
probably
down.
bad. I don't put nothing past them people down there. They're hey, just like I said, call them what you want. White trash, trailer trash, it don't matter. And they're not just white either. Okay, that one oldest girl, her name's Victoria. You try to be nice to the kids because it ain't the kids' fault, but you be nice to them, and they'll be up there begging. They'll be up there. That one kid, that one boy, he broke in my refrigerator in the garage and this, that, and the other. But anyway, I just told him I said, hey, you stay off my property.
Yeah.
I don't want you on my property. No walking across it. No nothing. just stay off. I ain't coming to your place. You stay off mine. And
But that ain't city limits out there where y'all are.
no,
that's
no
just
city limits.
pure
It's
county.
pretty close, but there ain't.
Yeah.
Well, I do have to give them credit. They stay off my place. They don't want no trouble because they don't want no law out there scrutinizing what they,
Yeah, sure.
And dogs, the animal control finally made them keep them dogs off the street, off the road, the county road, because they just lay there. They'd make you stop,
Yeah.
and then they'd just get up and get out of the way. One of them got hit. I seen it, and I heard him yell, yapping. He walks crooked now. It didn't kill him. I think somebody put that truck up to that, though.
Maybe.
Hey, people call in to the county, and the county animal control would come out there, and I think they finally got tired of it and just flat told them,
Yeah.
keep them off the road, keep them out of people's way, or we'll pick them up, and we'll keep them.
I gotta ask you something real quick. It's a story I want to see if you remember. This would have been like 97, 98, somewhere in there. Jason, you remember that black Tacoma he had?
That what?
The black, he had a black Toyota Tacoma.
Yeah, that's mine.
That was your, well, did he buy it from you?
No, he
Or-
didn't buy it. He used
You
it.
drove it. Well, he was over at my
Did
house.
he tell you it's his? Or
I don't
just
remember.
assumed he did.
I don't remember. It was,
Well,
I
he
was
might
16.
as well have owned it, but it was mine.
Okay. But he had driven it over to my place, and it was hanging out, and it was getting ready to get icy. And you had told him he needed to get home. Well, the road started getting bad. Well, he didn't want to drive in it because it started getting bad. So you drove from your house all the way out to Rays Mill Road on a four-wheeler
Yeah.
to pick him up, and he goes to get in the truck to drive it home, and he said, "No, I'm driving the truck. You're
Yeah.
riding the foot." Do you remember that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I remember that. It wasn't just ice; it was snow,
Yeah.
cold and
It was
packed.
nasty out.
And I rode that 4-wheeler, and and he took the 4-wheeler and went home, and I drove the truck. It was 4-wheel drive. It wasn't no. I mean,
No,
I guess he was
Great truck.
afraid to drive it. I don't know, but is that the way it was? I remember doing that, but I don't.
I don't remember the circumstances. I just remember you making him drive that four-wheeler home. And
Well, if I was going to come over there because he didn't want to drive that truck,
Yeah.
he wasn't going to drive that
No,
truck.
so didn't you used to go get gas in Oklahoma too? Do I
Yeah.
remember that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you could save.
Yeah, you could.
You'd fill up like a drum, wouldn't you?
No.
Or would you just fill up gas cans?
Them 5-gallon.
Were you just filling up gas?
plastic.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to go over there and buy 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
Bring them back home. Yeah.
First tank of gas I ever put in my car when I was 16, driving myself, was like 79 cents a gallon.
79 cents.
I wanna say so.
What year was that?
96, 97.
Shoot,
I could have that wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Well, I
What
remember-
would you say
well, I
gas was in
remember,
97? So I would have turned 16 in 1997 in November.
In I believe it was 76. And the reason I remember is I bought that, of course, you probably wasn't even born
I
yet.
wasn't.
But anyway, I bought a
was
real
born the same year
nice
Jason
Ford
was, 81.
pickup. Lewis Ford used to be up there on the college.
Hmm?
Yeah, and I bought a 1976 brand new Ford pickup with chrome rims and kind of wide tires on it, and it was like two-tone. It was like kind of a tan colored and brown. I mean, and it was really shiny and nice, two-tone, and the fender wells were on the outside of
Yeah.
the bed, and the bed itself was wood.
Really?
Yeah, and I bought that. It had a 351 Cleveland. They made 2 types of 351s. One was called a Windsor, and one was a 351 Cleveland. And the Cleveland was the one you wanted.
Okay.
And
76.
'76, and I wish I still had it. I wish
ya?
I had it brand new.
How
boy.
long did you have it?
Well, until I got. Well, I think I got. Let's see. I moved to California, and I bought. I finally family was growing, so I traded it for a Plymouth Valari station wagon.
Yeah, there you
Worst
go.
deal I ever made.
I bet.
Jeez, I wished I still had that truck.
Yeah.
And I was going to college with driving that truck. And
If you still had those baseball cards, I bet you could buy another one.
Yeah, probably. And but it wasn't a 4-wheel drive.
Right.
You know, used to
Yeah.
people just didn't have 4-wheel drive.
No.
And now
When did that really start coming around regular? The 90s? Because you
well,
started seeing a lot more
I
of them in the
bought
90s.
The first full, I had a full size, living there where I am now, I had a full size Ford F-150. It was one of them 6-cylinders, you know, them 306s Ford used to make, the best motor ever was.
Yeah.
And until the Toyotas got, and
I'm a Toyota man myself, so.
I am. And it was just a 2-wheel drive. Actually, them 2-wheel drives were just one. And unless it was positive track, that's all it'd ever have. Power to one wheel back there.
Right.
But anyway, I got stuck. I parked that dadgum. I knew it was going to snow. So I needed to get out and
Yeah.
go to work. And I parked up close to the asphalt in the driveway, and I still couldn't get out.
Right.
And it, like I said, it just had one wheel. And then they started making them where if one slipped, the other would kick in,
Mm.
and that was better.
You got any pictures of that
drive,
truck?
but it was better, you know. And anyway, I said that's the last time I get stuck in my own driveway and miss work. So I went over to that Toyota place over there on College, and I think that was the one that was bought out by Landers.
Yeah.
What was the name of that?
I don't remember.
That
My dad
Toyota.
worked up in Springdale at Bob Clark Toyota. I don't know if you
Clark.
remember it.
That was it. In Clark, Bob Clark.
Was that where you got it?
1997, I believe. Toyota.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't new. It was used. 1997, and it was 4-wheel drive.
Yep.
And it so happened that it iced and snowed and covered my driveway. I bet you the ice and snow was packed that deep, you
Yeah.
know, or more. And I didn't trust it.
Really?
Right. I didn't trust it because I never drove 4-wheel
Right.
drive before.
Right.
I didn't trust it. Finally, I said, man, there ain't no use having a 4-wheel drive if it ain't going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I was parking up at the very top, and then I just pulled on down right by the garage.
Yeah.
I thought I'll either get out or I ain't. And I put that thing. It's one where you had to lock in the hubs.
Yeah.
You know,
My Forerunners like that. Yeah.
So I locked them hubs in, and I backed out of there and never spun a tire. And it's up, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, I'll be damned. I said,
Change your life,
you
didn't
can't
it?
stick one of these.
Yeah.
And and from then on, I just didn't care because I
Yeah.
knew I was getting out.
Yeah.
4-wheel
Yeah.
drive.
Absolutely.
And that's the last pickup I ever had, the Ford. When I traded that, I got that 97, and I've had 4-wheel drive ever since.
You got any pictures of that 76?
No. Yes, I probably do. That's the house. But
I'd like to see some pictures of your youth.
that was.
I'd come over there
I
sometime.
told my youngest brother about getting a nice pickup, nice Ford 351, and he finally come up. And I showed, seen the truck. He said, "Man, that is a nice one." He said, "I thought when you was telling me you got one of them plain Jane things, and you were just bragging on it, But I drove it in, I believe it was 77. It might have been 77, but it snowed. Now, biggest snow I'd ever seen up to that point.
Right.
I mean, it must have been a foot deep. I mean, and I was supposed to went to work on Sunday night for my Monday because I worked and fired a boiler for a furniture factory on 6th Street.
All right.
And I'd do it on 3rd shift and go to school in the daytime. But I couldn't move. I went out to get in that truck I bought, and of course it wasn't 4-wheel drive, and it was automatic on the column,
Yep.
And I slipped that thing in reverse, and it just turned them wheels like that on that snow. I said, well, this ain't no good, so
Was that pretty standard to have it on the column back then?
Yeah.
Because my grandpa had a '76 Chevy, and it was on the column. I remember when I was in high school, if my car was down, he'd let me borrow that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a pretty common thing back then or not.
Absolutely, on the column.
When did they start getting down on
I don't know. I don't remember.
But when I was growing up also, it was pretty normal to be able to have an option of standard transmission or an automatic. Right. And nowadays, unless it's a sports car or...
Them muscle cars back in the day, when I was a kid, people wanted them sticks in the floor.
I prefer a stick shift.
Yeah,
to this day.
A lot of people, you're at your age. See, I don't think Jason could drive a stick now. I know my oldest boy can't because they just,
Well, my first car was I don't know if you remember it, is a white Toyota pickup.
Yeah.
It was I think it was a '79. No, it wasn't. It was later than that. It was an '86. Sorry. But my dad and it didn't have an engine in it, so we spent a lot of time. I'd get out of school, I'd go up there, we'd put an engine in it, and I'd never driven standard before. I'd driven a lot of automatics out around the farm and stuff, but it was a standard transmission, and we finally got that thing finished. And the way I learned how to drive it was Dad said, "All right, push the clutch down, put it in gear, give it some gas, let off the clutch."
You learned how to drive.
And he goes,
stick.
"Follow me home."
Yeah.
So we were at Bob Clark Toyota.
Well,
And by the time I got home to Farmington, I knew how to drive it. I stole it a couple times.
Well,
Man, it was a... And from then on, I damn near killed my family because I had the RAV4 that I drove for 17 years, the white one, was a standard transmission. And I remember driving my wife's car one time, which was an automatic. And I just go to push down the clutch, which was the brake.
Yeah.
And then everybody just damn near goes through the
yeah.
windshield. I had a hard time converting over to automatic.
I learned how to drive in a hay field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Me too, but we were driving
truck
80s
with,
trucks back then.
Compound gear.
Yeah.
You just slip that thing in the compound, in the floor there, and let that on the clutch and just creep along. You didn't have to push no gas. It's called a granny gear, we call it. Yeah. And but my kids never learned to drive a stick.
Yeah.
All three of my kids, they probably couldn't drive a stick now. She can. Because she had to. They'll stay at home all the time because that's what I had to drive, stick shift when younger days. You ever, I wish I still had this new. I bought a red Ford pickup. It was 1986, I believe it was. Or 8, I don't know. No, it was in the 90s. I think. Anyway, it had a big long one, a stick in the floor like this.
Oh, yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
I like that. It's 306 and a big old standard shift. I like that. I sold it to an old boy up there at work because I got me can't remember what I did.
I'd let you take that 4Runner with you sometime.
Huh?
I'd let you take that 4Runner sometime. Play around with it.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun to drive.
Well, But isn't that something? If you got kids and you don't want them driving your car, get a stick. They won't mess with
What was it? My buddy Scott Stokes was telling me God, him and Calvert, I can't remember talking about it. They said if you don't want the kid to go anywhere, give him a standard transmission and give him the instructions in cursive.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, and driving a stick shift is just like riding a bicycle. If you learn how, you always.
It always comes back,
Always.
and it doesn't matter the make and model either.
don't.
You just once you get
I
the.
could get in a truck with the stick shift and just see the pattern and go on.
I prefer driving a transmission like that. You just
I like them muscle cars with them big with the 4 in the floor.
do you?
Oh yeah, big. Oh man.
Did you have a muscle car when you was a teenager?
No, not that belonged to me.
Right.
My dad, he's an automatic, but he had a 1964 Ford Galaxy 500 with a 390.
Did you drag race that a couple times?
Jesus, that thing, man, you mash that thing, you hear that old 4-barrel just booming.
Yeah.
You know? And
You graduated
Huh?
You graduated 68.
68.
You said.
Remember the Oldsmobiles 442 and the what was it Dodge was that the Judge? They called it anyway. Here come the Judge, you know, a big old and I guess a 442 was about the biggest motor that they put in a.
And where'd you graduate from? Was it Mulberry?
Yeah, that's where I did all my running around.
Yeah. You had
And,
straight stretches out there, though.
Huh?
You had some straight stretches out
Oh,
there,
yeah.
so I
Oh,
imagine you
they
broke
used
speed
to
limit a
run,
couple times.
They used to run from Johnny Goodall's truck stop. That was before they got the interstate in. Had a truck stop right there on 64. Used to run from there down to the little, I think it's a little Mulberry Creek, just before you got to the big river. And I mean, you're talking a Chevy Nova maroon. This guy I knew had a Chevy Nova maroon, really nice mag wheels and everything. And it was a 283, and it'd outrun anybody.
Yeah.
Old boy named Fred Williams, big old fat boy, and he didn't have no other name but Fat. Hey, you seen Fat? No, I ain't seen him. He had a big old canary yellow Chevy Chevelle,
Oh dear.
probably a '66 model, SS 396.
Yeah.
Boy, he'd get in that thing and sit that thing down, big old fat boy. And hey, I'm telling you, muscle cars was a thing.
Yeah. Oh,
It was
I
a
know.
thing. This
I
one
know.
old boy named, his name was Dennis Peters, but they called him Midge because he was small.
Yeah.
He a basketball player too, a good ball player. And he had a Malibu, Chevy Malibu. You know what, that maroon Nova, Chevy Nova, that was 327. The Malibu that old Midge Peters had was a 283. And then, of course, Chevys were the thing.
Yeah.
Chevys were the thing. And, of course, GTO, 389, I believe it was. 389 is what that big sucker had. And then you had the Dodge Challenger, Dodge Chargers.
Yes,
and I
sir.
don't remember what the cubic inches on them was. And, but that big old, that SS 396, that big canary, that Chevy Chevelle.
See, I always like something that could get off road. I like to do 4-wheeling and get out in mudding and that kind of stuff.
You didn't see no 4-wheel drive
But
back then.
you know, Jeeps in
some
the
of them
90s.
had pickups,
Yeah.
Ford pickups with the big motors in them, you know.
Oh yeah.
And
I gotta get your take on something. What do you think about? So you remember in the 90s you started seeing Jeep was kind of coming back with some new models, and you started seeing a lot more Jeeps than you had before. What do you think about the new Jeeps with the ducks in them?
with the what in
The
them?
ducks
Oh,
on the dashboard. You seen those?
oh.
You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? No?
Not really.
All right.
What duck?
Keep an eye out. So there's a thing, I don't remember what the guy was going through. There's a dude who had a Jeep and was going through a tough time, and somebody left a rubber duck on his hood or something, and he started to put it on his dash. Well, now it's a big trend for Jeep owners to have these rubber ducks inside the dash, where you can see them on the dashboard. You'll see people just all these Jeeps.
That. No, why?
I was just curious as your opinion of it, because to me, like growing up in the 90s, when you had a four-wheel drive was kind of becoming a bigger thing in the 90s.
Yeah.
And when you saw somebody with a four-wheel drive, it had dents in it, it had mud on it, because people were taking them out mudding and driving,
Yeah.
To me, that's what a four-wheel drive was out, getting off-road and stuff. And now I see these Jeeps out there, and they got no scratches on them, no dirt on them. They're washing them once a week, parking them in a subdivision.
Keeping them clean like I do mine.
Yeah, and there ain't nothing wrong with that.
Hey, you know what? Coming over here, that was the most off-roading that thing's ever done. That dirt road, driving over here.
Well, we need to whittle out a deal on you selling that to me, because I've been looking for a red Tacoma, and you just happen to have the perfect one.
I don't. Hell, it needs somebody.
I want that thing. I ain't gonna be shy about
I
it.
bet that thing could do all right off road, don't you?
Yes, I
Big
do,
old
sir.
tires. I tell you what, in the snow, it's snowed considerable a couple of times since I've had that thing lifted in them big old tires. You hit that, the ruts and everything, or maybe if you have to get over and hit a spot of snow that's that deep, you don't even feel it.
Yeah.
It don't
bet.
jerk nothing.
That's a
it
beautiful
don't jerk
car.
no wheel or nothing. It just plows right through.
I'm not an envious man, but every time I see your truck, I say, boy, I'm gonna get a hold of that thing.
Bothers me more about that truck than anything is that it sits in the driveway, and they still won't raise my insurance. What's that all about?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you there.
And I said, look, you know what?
It's
I
all
drive that
going
thing
up.
four times a month.
Yeah.
I said, what's this thing about risk? Okay, you're I gotta have insurance because I don't want to wreck it because it's too good a truck.
Right.
And not be able to fix it. And you're not taking much. Boy, you're making out. Your insurance, you're insuring that at a very, very low risk.
Yeah.
Because it sits in my driveway.
Yeah.
And unless somebody comes in my driveway and runs it over, you ain't got much risk.
Right.
But don't you think you ought to at least not raise my rates? Well, yeah, right.
No, I think you're onto something there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take a bathroom break. We're gonna wrap this up. I want one more question though before we get done. What's the story on the tattoo? I don't think I've ever asked you this here.
Oh yeah, I got that in Okinawa, Japan.
Oh, did you really?
It was before the United States gave it back to Japan.
Right.
See, it used to be ours.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess there was a deal made after the war that in a certain year they'd go back to Japan, and that's what happened. But anyway, I was in Okinawa, went out in town, and this old Filipino had a tattoo shop, and he put that on me. And you can't tell what it says now. I know what it says, but it says, and it costs just as much. It cost me 2 or 3 times more to have it redone, where it would be just like I had it new, than when I had it put on here. It says up here, that's a dagger through a skull, and it's got a ribbon. It's got that right there is like a web, spider web, and it says USMC death before dishonor, but you can't tell that.
Yeah.
It fades out, and but it still looks pretty good. He took his razor,
Yeah.
the old boy did, and he shaved the hair off of it. Then he took a ruler and made a straight line, and then he got his tools out, and that's the last, and he drew it on me just like that.
Looks sharp.
Yeah.
What do you think the odds are of getting your wife on here?
Getting my wife what?
Doing the
One of
podcast?
these?
No, doing a podcast.
Oh, her?
Yeah, that lady right there. She'd do so good, wouldn't she?
Hey, this is your podcast, and you're going to have to be responsible for getting your own guest. You know.
All right, fine. Then I'll start working on her.
But if I'm telling you, if you get her started,
She ain't gonna stop. I know.
she
I know what I'm
ain't
getting
stopping.
into.
Yeah, she might even bring her sister.
That'd
Oh,
be.
I tell you what, that would be. I'd love to see it.
I would too.
I'd love to be sitting right over there by her, and June sitting right here talking to you.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm responsible, but you can help me out a little bit. Just put a little pressure on.
You know what? If she come to Arkansas, I'll do what I can.
All right.
Do you want to talk to her? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm telling you,
I'll talk to anybody.
she's not easy going like I am.
Then
I'm telling
sure.
you, she's not set in her ways. She's more set in her ways than I am.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
tell-
that's fine.
and
I don't
you,
care.
You want to make sure the doors were closed and everything, because she might say an ugly word or two every other word.
That's all right.
Can I move that?